being a part of this journey that I'm on now. I feel like this part of my life, really wanting to document healthy conversations that I can look back at when I'm 60, 70, 80 years old, and really be like, yo, like we had these deep conversations that hopefully impacts people that are wanting to come up in the game, our future generations and stuff like that. So I've been trying to find a way of doing an intro for these things, but I'm really shit at it. Um, so I'd love for guests to always just start off about their journey. Like, forget about everything about you now, just about like Andra, like who was Andra when she was growing up, the family, the upbringing, the surrounding areas, your heritage, and then we can go into who you are today.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me again. It's a great pleasure. I really appreciate the fact that you wanted to have this conversation, with me. It means a lot. I was not expecting this first question now, because you don't want to talk about music and you want to talk about me. I'm a little bit like, what did I say?
It's a
I'm not
weird
used
one
to
when you
talking
talk
about
about
myself.
yourself. I know, but it's just beautiful to reflect on who you was as when you were younger, and the influences on, we can do it like that, like the influences of when you were younger and then growing into the person you are.
Influences. You see what is Armzy? Where I grew up, there was no influences. It was just bad examples. So I'm trying to
Hmm.
think of someone that I would look up to, when I was growing up, apart from obviously my family. But
No, but let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. But let's talk about that because that feels like that's a really interesting perspective to have on. Let's talk about that bad side as much as you want to talk about with the bad influences that might have been around. How did that affect you to think in a better way?
um, okay, I grew up in a gypsy neighborhood, right, in Bucharest, Romania, which is where I'm from. I'm half Romanian, half gypsy,
Okay.
right? And where I grew up during a heroin pandemic. So you can imagine where I was growing up, it was not exactly the best place for a child to grow up and develop. So I
Mm,
remember looking around me, I would see people always, angry, agitated, because obviously that's how it gets with people that have these sort of addictions.
mm,
Um, there was quite, a bit of violence going on, but I don't know. I feel like when you grow up around it, it's just normal. In a sense, like
mm.
you do realize that it's not a good thing, but then at the same time, it just doesn't phase you anymore. It's just the way it is, I guess.
It's normal. It's normal. It's a part of your. It's a part of the environment you're in.
Yeah, it's a very twisted normality, but yeah, I guess that was normal for me. Um, Seeing a lot of people, you know, having these sort of addictions, ending up homeless, ending up in jail,
Mm,
dying as well. I've
mm,
kind of seen it all as a child. So, um, how do I put this? I always knew that I was supposed to stay away from it, and I did to an extent of I've never participated in anything, but at the same time, I kind of, the people in my life was more or less involved in certain activities, to say so. Um,
mm,
so I kind of got like bits of both worlds because my parents were like very drastic, very strict. I was not allowed outside too much. I was supposed to go to school, come back. They didn't really like, the kids that was growing up with me because obviously their families were not exactly great. So then my parents don't want me to be involved with them.
mm,
But at the same time, I still was because they were my age and we was growing up together. So it was a little bit of both. I think I grew up very street smart because of that, but I also knew how to keep myself away from certain stuff, and I still do to this day.
I hear
Um,
that. Thank you
and
so
I
much for
think
sharing that.
you're welcome.
No, no, sorry, Karen. You were saying, you were saying.
No. I was gonna say I think that helps me a lot in life today.
Hmm.
Um, because obviously when you do business, you need to be able to do business with like all types of people. So then I can speak everyone's language. So I think that really helps me. That's what I was about to say.
Hmm. And how did that lead you to music during an environment where like you're aware of the surroundings and you're aware that it's not good for you and you're staying away from that? Did that turn you towards music, or how did that journey start developing for you from a young age on really being insightful with music?
It was rap music really that just started like that. That was a starting point in my journey because obviously at school or in my life as a child outside of my family's house, obviously I was going through my own stuff as well. So then, when you have strict parents, you can't really talk about it. And I wasn't really able to like go to my family and say, you see, that you see, well, actually, do you know what I mean? You can't really do that. So then,
Mm,
because I didn't really have that sort of support system where I could have said anything, right? Because you see, as a child, you do make mistakes. And sometimes, like, people tell you, don't do that. But then you're like, that's exactly what I'm going to go and do. And that was me as a child.
mm,
So, with rap music, they was talking about all the stuff that I was seeing around me and all, like, some of the stuff that I was going for myself was, they was talking about situations that I knew very well from, like, an inside perspective. And it just made me feel
mm,
understood in a sense. It felt like someone else knew about that sort of life. And I felt like there was
mm.
someone sharing what I was going through. Even though I'm not trying to say this in like a very dramatic way, because by the grace of God, like nothing, do you understand? I'm not. I was a normal child, but at the same time, I did do my fair amount of stupidness, I guess. And rap music just resonated with
Everyone
me.
did their stupidness when they were young, but it's
Yeah.
what I'm getting from what you're saying is that you you found something that resonated with you during a time where you're experiencing certain things and you're hearing that same narrative in something you're listening into. So I understand that you found something that you could relate to because you were in those environments, or whatever the topic they're talking about. It's like, oh, like I've seen that, I've experienced that, I know people that's gone through that, so it's resonated with you from a young age. And how did that develop into like your like late teens and so during this time, are we still in Romania during this time, or is this when you've come to the
Yes.
UK?
Yeah, I grew up there up until the age of 18. At 18, I came to the UK.
Okay. And then okay, so let's talk about that. So when now that you've got 18 years of growing up in Romania, really soaking up a lot more of like the Western world and the culture and stuff. How was the experience when you came to the UK at such a vital age, going transitioning from a teenager into a young adult and being curious
It
in
was
like
horrible.
music and art and stuff? How did you start
It
carrying
was
yourself that way?
absolutely horrible.
I love the honesty.
I promise you, it was horrible. I used to hate it with a passion. Jesus Christ. The first 3 years of
Mm.
my life in the UK, I just hated every second of it. Every second of it. Because it's
What made
just
you hate it?
so um I just didn't fit in at all. As an Eastern European, you know, teenager, I guess, I was completely different from everyone else. You see, because
Mm.
I feel like in the UK, even though there's so many people going through like, poverty and hardship, and there's a lot going on out here as well. in any country, there's no country on earth where everyone is happy, apart from, I don't know,
Mm.
Monaco or something like that. Do you understand? But I feel
Mm.
like over here, you still have a chance to like get some sort of like support, even with, I don't know, stuff like, I don't know, benefits or charities or anything like that. Do you understand? I feel like whatever problem you've got, you do have at least a faint chance of, finding someone to help you. Where I come from, if you ain't got it, you just ain't going. That's it. Like, good luck. Do you understand? So then I came with that like very strong survival
Mm.
instincts and energy, and I think I just didn't fit in. I'm not. I don't know. Everything was just different. I remember I hated the food. Absolutely hated it. The weather. Oh my god, the weather.
Mm.
Jesus. You see where I'm from, Armzy? I just came back from
Mm.
holiday. 35
Mm.
degrees, 40 degrees outside. Do you understand? The word outside has a
Yeah.
whole different meaning when you're there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then I came here and I remember, oh my gosh, I woke up the very next day and I saw the like gray sky. It was literally like
Mm.
today, gray sky, raining, everyone
Mm.
just like in a bad mood like that. I was like, Jesus Christ, like what have I come to? Do you
No
understand?
vitamin D, no nothing.
And nothing, no, and obviously the fact is I didn't have any friends, any family, that
Mm.
really, that really affected me, to be completely honest with you.
Is
Yeah,
that when
because I
so
was
so
going
you
through a
came?
lot of change.
Okay, no,
Go
sorry.
on,
I was just
sorry.
saying. I was just saying. So you came here by yourself, not with family and friends.
No, by myself.
Okay.
By myself. But I didn't even speak English. Can you imagine? Like, looking back now, I'm like, what was you thinking? Like, how did you see this work out? Did you understand? Um, but yeah, it's just the fact that everything was so new. I needed
Mm.
help adapting, and I didn't have anyone to help me with it. So I
Mm.
hated it.
And what during? Okay, cool. Now you hated it. Now you started learning English, and you started learning how to communicate the ways things work here, how people move and stuff. When did you start? Because look, from what you're telling me, like from coming here when you were 18, not with family friends, not knowing the language, and now to being one of like a prominent music journalist and really being a part of these like platforms and artist journeys and stuff. It to me, like your level of development now, I can see from the backstory of what you're telling me how much of that grit and survival and adaptability has come out of you. Like I wouldn't have known that, like because I've known about your work and seen your page and stuff, to kind of hear this last 10 minutes of your previous history before coming here. That's beautiful. Like it just shows that you're such an adaptive learner on so many different levels, that you learn a whole nother language, a way of thinking, a way of speaking for you to do what you're doing now. You get me? So that's so talk to me about that time now. You've learned English, you know how things work here, and how did you as Andra start coming into the music industry as a journalist?
So I studied journalism whilst I was, because basically that is how I ended up in the UK. I came here to study journalism. I got accepted to a uni in London, and I was
Mm.
like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go on into journalism because I've always wanted to do it. You know what I mean? Like even as a child,
Mm.
I remember every time my parents would leave the house, because oh my gosh, let me tell you the story. You're gonna love it, and it's
Go
gonna
on.
make sense with everything else I'm gonna tell you. So I'm not sure if you remember, but this was like 15 years ago, I think. Have you ever heard of this like German band called Tokyo Hotel? Please tell
That
me you
rings a
have.
bell. Yeah. That rings a bell.
Okay,
100%
cool.
rings a bell.
In Romania, they was huge. Everyone loved them, right? And I was their number one fan. And I just wanted to like talk about it constantly. So I've always been that type of child to ask like 100 questions per hour. I don't know why, but I always want to know. If there is a story, I want to know it. So then I just have to like ask you questions for like to make you tell me the story without even you realizing that you're telling me the story.
Yeah,
I
I hear
promise you,
you.
me as a child, problem. I was a problem.
I hope you're not a
So
problem now.
I think I'm okay now.
Yeah, good,
I think I'm okay now. I'm hoping.
good, good.
But yeah, I really wanted to talk about it and talk about music because I knew like artist names and song names before I was even able to speak.
Okay.
So music has always been with me like that. So then when my parents would leave the house, I would just take like the landline phone, yeah, and I would just like dial random numbers and I would talk to like random strangers. I would lie to them and say, my name is such and such from such and such magazine. And I want to ask you, what do you think about such and such band and song? And people would actually talk to me, you know. And I would just,
Mad.
oh my gosh, the way I run up that telephone bill, wow. Boy, it was worth it though.
That's beautiful, that's actually sick, when you think about it. And that's when you were as a kid in Romania, isn't it? During that time.
Mhm. Yeah. So obviously, when it came to for like me to choose like what I want to do in life, because I had to go uni, right? So then
Mm.
last year of high school, someone asked me like, okay, cool, next year you're going uni. What do you want to do with your life? And I didn't know what I wanted to do, but then it just
Mm.
clicked. I'm like, I want to be a journalist. I want to sit down with people and like, talk and ask questions and all of this. So then I chose journalism. My mom, like my family, encouraged me to, go abroad, and I chose London because I thought I knew English. That's why I thought I didn't. So I came to London. Um,
Mm.
but I wasn't trying to get into music. Funnily enough, I wanted to do investigative journalism or work journalism, and neither of these two options were a reason for my family to be happy because obviously it's like a kind of dangerous job to do. War journalism,
Mm.
obviously, you can get killed, you can get kidnapped,
That's a whole
whatever.
nother topic, yeah.
Instead, yeah, 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 yeah. So then that's what I wanted to do, and then I went home for holidays, for summer holiday, and my mom told me, "Listen, yeah, good job. You finish your first year. I don't care though. You're gonna get a job. You're gonna do something whilst you're home." So I didn't catch
Mm.
no breaks. Do you understand? So then my best
Mm.
friend Paula, she found me an internship at a radio station, and that's how everything started. I just spent 3 months there, absolutely loved it. I was like, you know what, I could definitely get paid to like go out and have fun and talk to people. And then
Mm.
one day, I was in the smoking area because at the time I was still smoking, and one of my colleagues was talking to our boss, and she told them there was an artist that called her and said, "Do you want to manage me? Because I don't really like my manager, and I kind of like you as a person. I think you do well.
Mm.
Do you want to do it?" And she told our boss this story, and our boss said, "Nah, don't do it. It's a headache. Da da da. Forget about it." Me, I was smoking and listening. I didn't say a word, but in my head I was like, "That's exactly what I'm gonna go in and do." I didn't
Yeah.
tell anyone about it. So I finished uni. I couldn't get a job. I did all, it's just the way it is with journalism. Whoever thinks, listen, if you're watching this and you starting journalism and you think someone's just gonna give you a job like that, they won't. It's just the
Mm.
way it is. So you need to start doing
Mm.
something, I don't know, like a blog or stuff like that. So I went on and done. I studied music business management, and that's how I linked journalism to music. I started working for a label doing marketing, and I just emailed the platform that I'm currently with just out of the blue, I just said, "Hi, look, my name is this. Um, I'm not doing journalism right now, and I really miss it. Do you mind if I just do something quickly?" They was like, "Yeah, cool. Just send us like an example of your work." I did, and they was like, "Yeah, come on board." And it's been like what, 4 years, 5 years. It's been 5 years. I'm only just realizing this now. Oh my
That's
god.
beautiful, man. And like that still applies to what I'm saying about knowing about where your grit comes from, how you adapt to things and whatnot. Because if you wasn't in that smoking area, overheard that conversation, knowing that there's an opportunity for you to kind of like build on, and then off your own initiative to send this emails and stuff, like everything that we're in now are because of the things we've compounded through the years, the stuff we've worked on through the stuff we've worked on through the years. And sorry, I was just like, yo, who's this person? Hello. This is what happens when you use the agency building. Everyone's just everywhere. But
100%.
so yeah, like the point I'm trying to get at is with your adaptability and understanding, okay, cool, like I love journalism, I love music, and then getting on to that course and fusing them together, that must have opened up so many more opportunities, and so many like opportunities that you saw that other journalists or music management or marketing wasn't doing. So now we can start having that talk about how you started creating your brand, and started creating your your way of doing things in the journalism and music journalism space. So just kind of talk to me about how you first thought about your brand and started moving with that as well.
Um, when I was doing my masters, I was learning a lot about music, the music business. And I remember on my second year, that's when lockdown happened. So I was just stuck in the house, just looking at people on Instagram, just, discovering artists and music. And I just wanted to be part of that conversation because I liked them so
Mm,
much. I really wanted to work with them. So then I had to like
mm,
ask myself, what is this like? How am I gonna make these people want to work with me? When obviously I was like what, 22, 23. My accent was terrible. I was just like full, like just a freshie. Do you understand?
mm,
So I was quite self-conscious about it, to be completely honest. I was like, okay, cool, how do I make these people trust me? Because I, at the time, even though I was very enthusiastic, I didn't really come across as someone that anyone expected them to know so much about the music business. And the reason why I knew about it was because I was studying it. So then I thought, you know what, let me just start like making content about the things you know, that I learned in uni. And that's what I did. And I was just talking about, marketing and branding and tactics and royalties and everything that I was learning in school. I would just, make videos about it. And that's how people started noticing that, okay, cool, she knows stuff. And it seems like, she's quite good. So I just started approaching people. Because back then I was trying to get into marketing. I really liked, social media and the whole algorithm and how everything worked. And I was just charging people like insanely like small amounts of money just to like, just to make sure that I was getting paid something. And, just in case something, like God forbid, just in case something went wrong, I knew
mm.
that that amount was so small, no one would ever come, looking for me. Right. Do you understand? To ask me for the money back because it was like a try and error type of thing.
I hear you.
Fortunately, yeah, I know for real. And this is like my Eastern European thinking. If I know where you live and we have a problem and you're not picking up the phone, we're gonna have this conversation face to face. So then in a very respectful and
In a very respect,
polite,
like they always do.
yeah, yeah, as I always do. But you see, like my Eastern European I don't want to call them values because I feel like what I just said is definitely not a value. It's just a way of dealing with stuff. But that's what I come
Mm,
from. So bearing that in mind, I just wanted to make sure that I always come correct, right? And that's
mm.
why I do things the way I did them. So yeah, I was just doing, I was just doing like I was making loads and loads of content, loads of videos, and that's how I started. Like people would see me at events and they would know me from the videos, and that meant so much to me. Um, but eventually, I was doing
Mm.
journalism. I'm still doing journalism, but
Okay.
now it's all about PR. That is my
Yeah.
baby now, right? So I transitioned from marketing to PR, and when I did that, my name was already known in certain rooms. So then that helped me a lot. But the journey of me building my brand was just me having pure intentions and trying to help people and doing loads of stuff for free to like help them with their algorithm and social media and content. Going out a lot. Whatever was going on, I would always make sure I was there. I was talking to people. So I just became that face that people would see naturally at like music events or like industry events, and that's how the brand was created, I guess.
And over that during that time as well, like what you were saying at the beginning of that story of like you didn't have enough confidence and like you were still your speaking language and stuff was still being formed and stuff like that, but then learning those things about yourself during that part of your journey, I feel like the age we're in with content media music, it's like the people don't want to do that groundwork anymore. Everyone just wants that end result. People don't want to like identify these things on like, hey, look, I'm not good at these areas. I need to fix up and go out and do the work, And that's why like I feel like a lot of the generation now is starting to really deteriorate in this way of thinking of, bro, people need to do the fucking graft. No one's not doing the graft these days. You get what I'm saying? And this is what like I love about people like yourself that are sharing stories that like, yo, like I've come from this and these are the things I've been through. And I'm like, there's still a lot you must be learning about yourself. There's still a lot that you're probably applying to your business and the things that you're building from your business. So what was one of the main things you learned about yourself during that whole process?
More time, it's all in your head. Because you see, sometimes you're gonna do you know what is greatness is scary sometimes, and I'm not saying it in a way of like I'm on top of the world and I've achieved like such a huge level of greatness. No, but to me, every little step forward, that was greatness, you know? And sitting down with people that I knew they had way more money than me and way more connections, and they've been doing it for maybe, 20 years, and I was 25 at the time, you understand? Um, it just made me feel like, why would they even take me seriously, even though I know my intentions and I know what I know? I was just like, for what?
Mm,
Maybe they're not going to take me seriously. Maybe they're not going to believe that I can do what I said I can do. But you know what? One day I was like, you're here now. You might as well just, you know, do your best. And like, what is the worst thing that can happen? God forbid, like, there is very bad things that can happen. Don't get it twisted. But I feel like I
mm,
was focusing a lot on like the negative side of things. And I just, there is that saying, it goes like, let go and let God. And that's what I'm doing. I just stopped overthinking because, yeah, it was not doing me any service.
that's beautiful, man. And let's make this part of the segment now really like we've dived into your history, how you've developed and where you are now. Actually, we haven't touched up on where you are now. We kind of spoke about how you built the brand and what you've learned about yourself. So just quickly let me know where your brand is now, what type of services you're doing, and then we just take it from there.
Sure. So now I do PR and creative consultancy. PR is the biggest part of the business right now. I mostly work with up and coming artists. I help them get in, magazines, blogs, radios, podcasts, billboards as well. I got a solid network of DJs all over the UK that can play songs. Yeah, that's what I do right now. And then I also do creative consultancy, which is just, us sitting down and talking about your brand, how to strategize your career, the targets that you want to achieve, how do you get there. Um, yeah, that's what I do.
Good. And did you build the business that way during, like, did you find problems in the music marketing areas or the PR areas, and you found a lot of the problems and you're like, hey, I can build a business around this, and or like, hey, I feel like I can solve these problems. How did you start conceptualizing how you were building your business?
I've realized that there's so much talent out there, but they don't really know what they're doing, and they do want to learn how to do it. And I just wanted to be that person that comes through with like a genuine intention and helps them get to where they want to get to. But that is only if I believe in your song and your music and what you stand for. I don't promote
Mm.
violent music. When I say that, I mean like very like graphic stuff. I don't promote that. Although I do work with like rappers and people that do drill and all of that, and that's cool. But as
Mm.
long as the sound is drill, but your lyrics are okay for everyone to listen to, that's fine. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, the problem was that no one was really doing things the way I was doing things because I was just trying to teach people stuff and help them, and that was it. It's so
Mm.
simple. I just love what I do. Yeah.
No, that's good, man. Like, especially because, like, obviously my experiences from like more of the content field and stuff, and video and filmmaking and music videos and stuff. And most of my career has been music videos and being around music as well. And one thing I've realized that we're in such a, even though it's such a beautiful industry to be in, like the way people's mind works, the process on the music. I really love the process on making the music and how it's put out to the world. But one thing I've realized is the music industry is, and music media and arts are really ego driven industries. How much have you seen ego when it comes to music, and like your, like from the angle of your business, like you must get music artists that come towards you that would need a service, and you can just feel the ego or feel the way they are moving, that is like, oh, like you're not really here for the music, you like, you're really here for like the fame of it. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, what's your thoughts on ego when it comes to the industry?
Um, I don't really get to come across that too much because I choose who I work with, and that is the exact reason why I wanted to have full control over what I do and how I do stuff because I know what you're talking
Mm.
about. I'm not trying to be part of it. I can see it from a mile away. I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna be respectful, smile, say hello, and keep going. Do you understand? So
Mm.
I can't. Fortunately, I don't really have bad stories like that. I don't because I can smell it and I can see it, and I'm like, okay, cool, I'm not trying to be part of it. With artists that have like a maybe I don't know. Do you know what it is? I feel like it's obviously I started at the very, very, very beginning. I was working with people that were not exactly coming from an environment where they would learn how to talk in a business setting. in a way that would come across professional. And I understood that because remember, I told you where I come from, and I
So
can
you can smell
see
it a mile
that.
away. Exactly.
And yeah, but you know what? Sometimes it's just that people, they just don't have that sort of, they just never learned how to talk to people in a proper professional environment, right?
Mm,
And as long as I can tell that that is the case and it's not like an ego thing, you just don't know how to do this, and that's fine. I'm gonna help you, yeah, like
mm,
maneuver through this whole situation. Um, I think there was a few instances where people like tried to approach me like they knew me from somewhere and like I owed them something. And that to me was just wow. Um
mm,
I just ignored it in the sense of like more time I just never replied to the messages because if you're gonna give me attitude, then I'm gonna give you attitude as well. I'm from the Balkans. I've got attitude. But I'm not trying to share it with anyone.
don't mess around
Do you
with it.
understand? Yeah. But I don't. No, do you know why? Because it's such a small circle. It's such a small circle. Like every time I
Mm,
met someone, that person knew someone that is cousins with someone that knew someone else that knows me. It's
mm.
always like that. So then, whenever, yeah, yeah. So then, let me just, even if I don't like you or if I don't like the way you're trying to come across, let me
Mm,
keep it like nice and respectful so that if I ever want to work with your cousin, for example, and my name comes up in a conversation, you can't say anything bad about me because I was never,
mm,
disrespectful or
mm.
anything like that.
What are
Yeah.
artists doing wrong these days when it comes to their campaigns, their communication, and their overall strategy in the way they're doing their content?
Okay. Um, I feel like some people don't really know what their brand is, and they're trying to communicate something, but they don't know what they're communicating. Right? Most people they just want to communicate the fact that they've got a song coming out or a video coming out on a platform and that they want people to be there for them when for the release. Well, that is the tiniest little bit um that you have to do as an artist because you need to know what your brand is, what you stand for, what people you want to support you, how do you get to these people, right? You need to be very strategic. And some people they don't really think that way. Like they don't strategize. Let me just say that. And then of course it's also the content that you make is very important as well, and the videos that you put out they need to be of a certain quality. They can't be like bad quality, or you can't like these days, for example, everyone has lyrics at the bottom or at the bottom of the screen. I feel like now it's an industry standard to have like the yellow um captions, right? Some people they still use like random fonts and random colors, and I think that's cool because you like that is you and you need to like showcase your personality. But I feel like unless that is part of your brand, maybe try and follow the industry standard until you get yourself to a point where now you can start bringing new elements in and people would accept them and run with them. You see, because it's all psychology, I think, and it's all sales, and you need to understand how these people work. Sorry, I can see that it's trying. My laptop is saying to me that it's trying to reconnect, so I'm not sure if you can still hear me. I'm hoping you can.
I can still hear you.
Hear me? Amazing. Um, yeah. So definitely, there's branding, there's the video content. Um, I think as well, and this is a conversation that I had so many times with people. You see, people are kind of afraid to put themselves in positions where they would be perceived as up and coming artists, even though they are up and coming artists. Like I always tell them, there are so many open mics, there are so many like talent shows that you can go to in London, right? Where you always have like people in the industry in attendance as well. A&Rs, for example, traditionally A&Rs would go to shows. Obviously, these days you can find them on TikTok and Instagram because that's where everyone is. But people still go to shows, right? And when I was A&R in, I was going to shows myself, and I still go to shows, just because I love it. So you should do that as well to obviously have that face-to-face interaction with the crowd, win a couple fans as well, and that is great for obviously later on when, because as an artist, how are you gonna make money? You're gonna make money from brand deals. You're gonna make money from shows, selling merch, these sort of stuff, right? Spotify ain't gonna make you rich, or Apple Music, or that is just a way of like you showcasing like your music, but that's not gonna get you paid realistically. And people need to understand that from the early days so then they can strategize, and every little stone, yeah, that they put together is going to help them get to that big stage where they can get booked and they can make money, right? If you don't go into shows, that is not, that's not going to help you at all because you're not going to have that experience. Because when people, like, when you're still up and coming and you're performing in front of the crowd, like, no one knows you, they don't have any sort of expectation. If you mess up, they don't care. If you do well, some of them still won't care, right? So then you're not really winning or missing anything unless you're doing certain things. um so that really is like a playground, right? And that helps you a lot. So you should go and do that. You should definitely go and do shows. Just go to any industry event there is. It doesn't matter if it's like, um, well, listening parties are great, but if you don't have them connections in the industry, it's kind of hard to get to those. But if you do start making connections in the industry and you start having access to certain events, just go. It doesn't matter what type of event it is, just go. And just make sure that people see your face around. And that still pours into your campaign and how you're promoting yourself. Because guess what? Now that you're dropping a song, you can go in and tell all these big people about it, and next thing you know, you might run into someone that does what I do, or they do marketing, or they do what you do, right? They should make music videos and stuff, and they can help you, and that's how you find your tribe. I think, yeah, yeah. Should I add more to it? I feel like I'm just ranting. Oh, I can't hear you, Armzy. Yeah.
Sorry, fam. Sorry. Uh, for me, like it's a for me like these the one of the reasons why I'm doing a project like this as well is it's a selfish way for me to learn as well, and it's a self like for me. I always hated the school system since I was a kid. I left school with two GCSEs. I only had media and music and drama. You get what I'm saying? Everything else I flopped, but I really excelled in the classroom, but when it comes to exams, like I'm shit. I'm shit at exams, but obviously that's changed over years. But for me, I always had that weird feeling of when you're like, as a human species, we're tribal beings. So whenever there's an issue with a task or whatnot, you're meant to do that as a team. You don't like the school systems are built where everything's individual, is based on the person. You can't talk to people, you can't cheat, you can't do all of these things. Not to say those things are correct, but it takes away the system of learning things about other people and how they see the world. So when I shut my mouth, I learn from people like you. I learn from so many people. I've spoken to politicians. I speak to scientists. I speak to researchers. All these things. The more I shut my mouth and the more I open my ears and use this in between, I'm just soaking up your way of thinking, soaking up like raw, like that's how you perceive the world. So yeah, like it's not about blabbering on and all of those things because I would actually interject myself if I know that you were deviating from the conversation. But for me, it's just a beautiful way to learn from you and know that okay, someone who's actually coming up in the music scene that might not have confidence and want to do the correct moves are gonna hear from someone that's embedded in the industry as yourself and can take there's wisdom in the waffle. There's so much wisdom in the waffle. You got what I'm saying? So yeah, like in that case, what we can do is also tap into maybe how artists are branding themselves, because what you were saying was kind of more about the networking, more about the communication, and their portfolio. And it's an interesting thing you spoke about with artists, and I've always said this to artists about not focusing all the time on their Spotify and Apple Music catalogs and stuff like that. You're meant to have a big catalog so you can compound it, so all those small pennies make it big. But I feel like the artists today are only focused on, I've got this project, I'm gonna put it on Grime Daily or whatnot, and then it's gonna blow. Like that mentality there is something that I always try to remove out of any creative or artist, to let them know, hey, you shouldn't be thinking like that. You should always focus on engaging with your audience, always engaging, like building that rapport. And that's why so many artists now are becoming content creators. So for the artists that are listening to this now, how can they start tailoring their content specifically that might speak to the language of their audience that they want to target with their campaigns and whatnot? Like, what type of tools would you recommend for them to try?
Well, hmm, there is a lot of groundwork to be done because you need to understand who your audience is. And once you know who these people are, you need to start looking at their behavior, right? And try to understand how they communicate, how to sell something to them, what appeals to them. Well, you like that's not something that happens quickly. And depending on how things go for you on social media, because obviously the organic reach is decreasing, every 6 months really. So sometimes you have people that are doing everything, like the content that they're creating is great, but it is not reaching the right people just because of how the algorithm, is working. Um, you really need to start learning about the algorithm. And unfortunately, because it changes every 6 months, it's quite hard to stay on top of it. But if you're someone that does everything by themselves, then just start watching YouTube videos. That's how I learned, most of the stuff that I know about marketing, just YouTube videos. Really. Um, Once you've mastered to a degree the whole social media thing, that helps you reach more people. And once you've reached like a large pool of people, obviously you have the data, you have the analytics, and you can see who these people are. And then you can go on and do some more like in-depth research of understanding how these people work. Because I think with every genre, for example, people that listen to rap music are very different to people that listen to heavy metal music, for example. So then you wouldn't sell them something like a product in the same way, right? Um, so I feel like I'm just focusing on one thing, and I'm not. I think I've got ADHD. So with me, when you ask me a question, I just get like 20 answers in my head, and I'm just trying to go through all of them. Um, but yeah,
Sounds like my
try
brain
and do
right there.
that.
Like you just give me one bit of insight, my brain's gone a million other places as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But apparently, it's good for business though because that's how you get creative and you come up with like different strategies and ways to like do stuff. Yeah.
That's so
One
true.
thing Yeah, no. One thing that I would say, obviously, because now we're talking about the algorithm, right? There's people that just listen, they really want to be an artist, but they don't really have the financial support to do it. So then I always say, if you don't have money, then you must have time. Yeah. If you don't have time, then you must have money, right? So you can put something in motion. If you don't want to go like down the traditional path to say so of just like doing everything, not a traditional, the organic path of just like
Organic,
creating
yeah.
content, posting it, analyzing like the back end of it, doing it again, da da da. You can also you can always run ads, right? And if you don't know how to run ads, you're gonna spend a lot of money until you understand how it works. But once you've done that, you can really make something happen for yourself because obviously that allows you to reach. You can test different markets, right? And then you just see which one resonates with what you're trying to sell.
Mm,
Does that answer your
that's
question?
good. Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense because we're I'm not gonna lie, I get so many ads, music ads pushed towards me all the time, and I feel like
Well, that's what
the
you
way the
watch.
sorry.
Because that's what you watch. That's the content that you interact with. I
Yeah,
train my
yeah, of course.
algorithm to
Like,
only show me music. I don't see anything else but music.
yeah, I train it on so many different things, but let's say the algorithms are built to a point now where let's say you consume content for 4 hours, that whatever that type of content you're watching for the last 4 hours of that day, your algorithm for all the sponsored ads are going to be posted on that. So let's say food, for instance, you look at food bloggers for like 2 3 4 hours, all the sponsored things are going to be food. So the algorithms are training so much more quickly now that you watch 2 3 music videos, then the next thing you watch is a sponsored post coming from music. So but the point I was trying to get to is that I think so many artists these days that do have money but don't know how to place that money correctly are just throwing it on ads, because you can put a music video on Instagram and just click boost post, and without
Yeah.
knowing who your audience is, like you're literally burning money, and from a music video point of view, this is why I always speak to artists on how they can wisely use their budgets, because they always want the cars, they always want the house, they want this, that, the other. And like, the last
Don't even get
interview
me
I did
started
was with
with
one
the
of my
cars
guys.
and the girls
Yeah,
and the house and the
yeah,
unnecessary
and
alcohol and all of that. I don't know.
exactly. And what I was trying to say to that is that the last episode I did with Social Media Ayaz, I don't know if you've heard of him. He's in music marketing as well. And he said he put it so well. When you focus on high budget music videos, you're already at a loss. So for you to make that money back, you've got to work 5 times as hard, because you're like when you're working with organic, like you said, organic content, you find intricate ways for you to tell your story, and any budget you might have allocated towards a music video, which I personally feel like you don't always need. Music videos have, now there's visualizers, you can have a loop of 3 4 things happening. That's your music video. Like, so this is why I was coming back from earlier to say, because of artists' egos, they're using that as a driving force for fuel to, if they do have money, to implement that either on a boosted post or a fuck off 20 30 40 grand music video, and they're not even a label. So it's like, how can you be creative with no money and then get data points from that, use your performance marketing to then put in that 500, 5,000, 2,000 pound for behind your marketing, because you know your audience. Like right now, if someone was to tell me about my audience, I can tell them straight away my audience is between 25 and 44 years old, mostly based in the UK, mostly based in the city of London, and predominantly 70% male. Artists don't even know their insights like that. So now, if I wanted to put a posted ad out, I know who my target audience is. So that £500 now is gonna work like it's £50,000 in marketing.
Exactly. Thank you. Louder
Mm.
for the people at the back. Yeah.
That's the
That's
point.
that.
Like, that's, yeah, thank you. But that's the thing I was trying to get onto you with you. Like, how do you because we're also in the business of educating um our clients as well. So
Yeah.
how do you educate your clients without making them look like they're uneducated in that space?
I just smile a lot. And I just use my soft voice.
Oh,
Really on
like,
it.
I can already hear you in your heads being like, how the fuck do you not know this?
Yeah, Listen, I've heard some outrageous stuff, like in the back of my head, I promise you, I was screaming, I was like rolling on the floor. But then obviously
Mm,
on the outside, I was like, that is not a
yeah,
stupid question. Don't worry about it. We can fix it. Sit down, we can talk about it. And we will just
yeah,
talk about it. No, but it have to be like that though, because
of
it's
course.
not their fault that they don't know about it. But it's good that they
Mm,
do want to learn about it. So then I'm never gonna laugh at someone that doesn't know something but wants
of,
to learn. Do you understand? As long as you're humble and you want to listen, I'm always gonna teach you. If you don't know something
mm,
and you're trying to tell me how to do something that you don't know how to do, then maybe I'm gonna have a harder time to like communicate with you.
mm,
And, but nah, just I'm just nice to people, man, because you like
mm,
I feel like me, everything that I'm very good at when I first started doing it, I was the worst of the worst. Every single thing that like I've done for the first time, hope like it was just a complete disaster. So coming from that, it's almost like I can see myself in them, like just obviously irritated because I can't do it, but I want to do it, but I don't know how it that just helped me. And I'm just like, okay, cool, sit down, it's fine. I got you. Let's talk about it. Yeah, I just want to make people feel comfortable because if you're not comfortable, you're not gonna learn. That's
that's
facts, and
beautiful.
yeah,
No, that's good, man. Because I feel like, and this is what also people like. People think, because you're in business, you have to be cutthroat. You have to be you have to be like move with strength and all that. Cool. Like, don't get me wrong. There's a time and place to do that and be that person, but some people use that as to step on people's throats that are uneducated in these spaces. Like, I've been around certain videographers and they're downplaying an artist for not knowing certain things and all of that, but then I'm there in the middle of the meeting or that conversation or that dinner and saying, oh, like, it's completely fine if they don't know what this type of thing is or whatever it is. It's how you get that across, and sometimes you'll never know who you're being nice to, because that person will be the CEO one day. That person will be
exactly.
the head of a certain thing, and people think, and this is why it comes back to that ego thing, because people expect to be spoken in a certain way. Like, Andra, if you got pissed off at me because of a certain campaign we're working on, or we're working on a production things, I'm not gonna take it personal because I'm getting to know who you are as a person. But from your business intellect and how you're building your brand, I know why you're pissed off at me. I know it's because of either something's fucked up in the content or I've done something wrong. But
Mm,
me taking on board how you've spoken to me is, I can take it as a positive or a negative, But then
yeah.
how you communicate that to me is an important thing. On, okay, I understand where she's trying to go with it. So yeah, like, I feel like artists really need to fix up on their education style. Like, they shouldn't always expect someone to always educate them. There's so much information for, like you said, YouTube. Most of my career I built off YouTube. I made money in media because I learned stuff off YouTube. So when videographers and content people come to me and tell me, hey, like, how do I get into this camera thing and da da da, I ask them, what do you like? Who do you list the top three people you wanna, like, map your content to, or like do similar to, and copy those people until you find your style of things. And it's like you said, these artists are really competing with the top 20, the UK top 40. So you're already at a loss if your content quality is low. Like, your benchmark needs to be at a medium. So content, you're already fucked up. So you have to come in at
Mm-hmm.
an angle to understand production. Like you said, accept it, learn it, understand it, something like that. It was a sick thing. I need to find that bit is gonna go on Instagram, yeah, because that was an interesting thing you said. Because it was such a beautiful thing, because artists are not doing that. They're like, oh yeah, I'm making the music and then that's it. 30 years ago, 20 years ago, you just need to make the music and that's it. This day and age, it's not enough for the music just to put you out there. There's other bits of work you need to do in your branding. Who, un, first of all, understanding your fan base. No one fucking knows their own fan base. If I was to call up 10 artists right now, because of me, they would understand who their audience is. And if you look at all artists need to do, if any artist is listening to this right now, yeah, all they need to do is to go to their Spotify for artists, Apple Music for artists, and the last few releases, you can just look at your data to say, okay, I've got a baseline of people that I know. Like I said, like when I look at my own Instagram insights or my social insights, I know people of entrepreneurs from 25 to 44, so on and so forth, living in this type of area. I know my people now. So now how I communicate is going to be accordance to them, which means my content and everything grows, my reach grows. But artists are not thinking like that. How do you feel like artists can really establish who their fan bases are? And I think you started touching on that with like networking and building their own shows. But yeah, like, do you want to elaborate a bit more on something like that, on how they can engage with their artists even more?
Um, okay. I think so. Now I'm just gonna take drill, for example, as a case study, right? Because most of my clients do drill, so then I can talk about that. Um,
Mm,
you see what you talk about in your music, that is your audience. If you're talking about certain people doing certain stuff, yeah, it can be anything. It can be good things, it can be bad things. It don't matter. But you're talking about yourself and you're talking about people that relate to what you do, right? So that means you're targeting people like yourself. So if you want to understand them, understand yourself first, right? How do you work? What works for you? What was the last thing someone told you and how did they do it? Do you understand? That's how I do everything,
mm,
really. Whenever I cool. You see, when I want to approach someone, and obviously it's something like if it's something big, it doesn't matter what it is. I want to approach something. I want something from this person. Okay, I'm gonna ask for it nicely. But I'm always like, before I do that, I'm always gonna stop and think. Okay, cool. What would be the best way for someone to come to me and say that, right? Because as much as I'm a very like open and cheerful person and I'm quite easygoing, at the same time I study and analyze every single word that comes out of your mouth. And if you say one word that I think means something else, you're done. Do you understand? So me being quite not difficult to communicate with, but it's difficult to sell me something, I use that as you know, a starting point and a learning point as well. Um, I think if you do that as an artist, then you know where to go and look for these people. And once you found them, you know how to talk to them as well. And you just build from there, you know. The more you try to understand how people work and how certain words trigger certain emotions and certain reactions, then you know how to give a whether that is a show or someone to work with you and stuff like that. And that obviously pours into networking because with networking, more time if you go to like because there's networking nights that you can go to specifically for the music industry or just entertainment industry, right? And you'll see that most people in that room, especially at the start of the night, everyone is quite reserved. Everyone is trying like they want someone else to come and talk to them. They don't really want to, be that person that goes and makes the first move, right? So the second you understand that you're all in the same boat, it's just you're trying to sell differently. You start paying attention to the body language, how like they act, and that's gonna tell you or at least it's gonna give you an idea on what is the best way to like go and approach someone on a networking night in the industry. If you go to shows, for example, and you're performing a song, to be completely honest with you, with nights like you have open mics, you have events where people just come, like you got like 20 people on the lineup, They perform, and then at the end of the night, someone wins something. Naturally, everyone performing is going to bring their friends. More time, you're just going to get other people's friends in the room. It's very rare that you find people from like outside, just someone, because they do loads of events like this in Box Park. So it's very rare that you're going to see some random, person in Box Park that was just there to like have a beer or something. They're just going to pop in because they've heard you. People don't really work like that, but it's fine. Because you see, like, even like these, like people's friends, out of like 100 people in the room, if you're good, yeah, you must get at least five that have a reaction, even if they're just like popping their head like that. Once you see who these people are, just go to them after you finish and say, "Yo, like, hi, thank you. So I saw that, and I just want to say thank you. I appreciate it. It means a lot, to me to have someone to support me, even if they don't know me." And if you're fortunate enough to run into someone that is actually a cool person, you just made like a new friend or just acquired a new family. It's just someone that at some point you might be able to sell something to if it remains just like a business type of relationship. But sometimes you can even make friends like that. You see? So I think it's all about psychology, observing, and just having a good heart and praying and everything you do.
And what do you think about, as you were talking about that? Yeah, this thought came to my head about, on like, what's your thoughts on the concept of fake it till you make it? Because I think so many people are throwing that and using that as a way to build your brand identity, and I feel like there's a healthy way to fake it till you make it, and there's the unhealthy way of faking it till you make it. What's your thoughts on that, and how do you feel like that applies to music marketing and PR?
It depends on what it is that you're faking, really and truly. Because, business and sales, sometimes there's gonna be a little bit of a lie in there or something just to like change someone's perspective perception because it sells. Okay, whatever it is that you're doing business, you're selling something. You as an artist, you're a product because you're trying to make money from it, so you're selling. Okay, so yeah, you will fake some stuff, and that's cool. Depending on what it is that you're faking. If you're faking 100,000 followers on Instagram and 150,000 like monthly listeners on Spotify, and then you get booked as a headline act and no one shows up, that's a big problem. That is a very big problem. Do you know why? Not even because like you ain't got people in the room, because the word goes round. So you see promoters, obviously everyone knows everyone. Yeah. So then don't think that you're gonna get booked for anything for like at least the next 18 months. Do you understand? If you do something like that, it's a problem.
Yeah, you got
Yeah.
to recover from that, you know.
And
And
yeah, you just need to let time go by to be
yeah,
able to
it's
recover.
interesting. It's sorry to cut you, man. Like, cause it's interesting that you touched on the subject, because this is one thing I definitely wanted to ask you about, and I'm happy I kind of reminded myself, and you talking about like the Spotify streamings. I think last year, like last year and like a year and a half ago, there was so much acceleration on people buying streaming views, so much that it got to a point where artists were openly speaking to me about it, like, "Hey, I'm gonna buy these streams and da da da." Like, they had the audacity to ask me if that package is worthy enough to get that 100,000. I'm like, bro, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, that's that is so insane to me. Like, it was so insane that
Classic.
it's classic. But then it's the interesting thing of what you said.
I'm
It's
sorry,
what
go
you were
on.
saying about, nah, it's so good. This is how I know our relationship's gonna grow, because we're fucking finding funny stuff about everything. But you see, with the artist streaming stuff, and the way that they, like, it's an important thing that you said, that when people are buying these streams and all of these things, and then people are putting a show together, no one's gonna come to that show. And like people are gonna recognize that. Like I grew up with a lot of promoters and all of that. Like one of my guys, he's one of the biggest like club promoters right now. Like he like whenever Rick Ross and all of these lot, like Benny the Butcher and these lot come, like he puts the events together and shit. So he's always telling me about how like when shit is going wrong and all of these things, like people talk in the industry, bro. Like if you know that this guy you're booking has got 100,000 monthly listeners and you can't even convert 5% of that, which is 5,000 people, bro. Like let alone, okay, let's say it's 0.5%. That's 500 people to come to your show, bro, and only 20 turn up or 5 turn up. Like clearly you're buying your streams, and now you can actually look into people's insights and you can tell by the trend of the graph. So if you know it's gone like this, it's botted. But if you're seeing all that, like that's where the growth is. And I feel like when the point I'm trying to get at is, I feel like people have made it normal to buy Spotify streams and buy these type of like likes and stuff like that. There's certain artists that are even on my network that I go to their page, they've got like 20 to 50,000 followers or whatnot, or more, but then on their post they've only got like less than 10 likes.
Yeah.
Like why are people doing that? Like to me it's fucking funny, first of all, and secondly it also scares me of the market. It scares me for the younger generation. Like this is why I'm trying to make stuff like this that is potentially educational through conversations, because I don't want the people coming up in these scenes to see these things on social media that is normalized, and for us to not say anything. Like we should have a right to say these things, that these type of issues that are happening in these industries and the clients that we're seeing in our industries are doing these things, and it's normal. Like you might as well tell me that the guy that works in the petrol station might as well become a doctor and do heart surgery on me. Like it's getting to a point where it's like that. You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
the point I'm trying to get at, is, why do you think certain things are normalized in the sense of buying streams and building a facade or something like that? Because like I said, fake it, there's one thing of fake it till you make it, and then there's this whole thing on this side of, yo, like I'm just gonna buy streams. I'm just gonna like
Do you know
what do you
why?
think about
Do you
that?
know why? Because the people that are selling these services, yeah, they selling a dream. They're selling this illusion that they're there. Do you understand? And I think that's how you become infatuated sometimes. And that is a very dangerous drug, especially when you feel like, it's your dream and you're not getting there. Okay, cool. Let me just try and do something to like get me closer to it. And sometimes, listen, I'll be so honest with you. This is not something that only certain people do. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? It's not new. It's not new. However, there are certain opportunities, yeah, where that like some artists deserve because of their talent. However, because the numbers ain't there, it doesn't make sense for the people involved to obviously bring them in from a business perspective. However, if you come through with the right numbers, you might get that kick that you need, and that might be exactly what you need to take it to the next step. But this is in a very like pure and ideal world. Listen, if you know, like, I feel like in life you just do what you gotta do. Do you understand? And as long as you're being respectful with it, you do it one time, two times, a few times until you get to a stage where like you can stop doing it and you can be the person that you're supposed to be.
Mm.
Do you understand? It is what it is. Let's be real. Like even I'm not. Let me not even say too much, but it's not something that only up and coming artists do, and it's not something that happened like 5 years ago. Do you understand?
This in itself is a whole separate podcast, like because I've got some data and some dirt and some conversations where it's not only upcoming people doing this shit.
You know what I'm talking about, but let's just for now, let's just keep it that way because it's not gonna do us any service to like talk on people. Do you understand? This is something that I always do. I never
100.
have anyone's name in my mouth unless
Yeah.
I double check with them first, and
No, one hundred
unless it's
percent, 100%.
necessary.
I'm about that as well. Like it's about people protecting
Yeah.
people's identity.
Yeah. But I don't know. If you're
Mm,
buying streams just for the sake of buying streams, 'cause you see the real problem with that is when you're fooling
mm,
yourself. Yeah, because you might be an artist that you're good. You're not the best. You're not the worst. You're
mm,
okay. Okay, there's room for improvement. You can do that. You can achieve whatever you want to achieve if you do the groundwork. But as you said, some people don't want to do it, and I get it because I didn't want to do it myself. So I would never
mm,
like judge because before I found music, I never wanted to do anything. I was not interested in anything. I didn't care, right? But then this should also tell you a little bit about what you're doing. Because you see, when you have a real passion for something, there is no way you're gonna let anything like go without you trying to like do something with it. Do you understand? So as an artist, if
mm,
you're just someone that is at the level where they're okay, they must like they should keep working. But instead of doing that, you just want to be that guy or that girl who's got this like huge platform and it's fake, my friend, I think you have some different problems I need to work on. Respectfully. And I'm saying this with like all the love and respect, honestly. If you're
mm,
at that stage where you need to like fake something for yourself as well, then maybe just take a step back and understand why you're doing this and how you can, step away from it. And do you understand? Because
mm,
otherwise, these are the things lead to other stuff. And especially when you get to a
mm,
level where you're involved with certain people, you have certain things just put in your face like that. You've got money, you've got access to anything you want. If you're not okay here, you're gonna resort to all sorts of madness to be okay, but you're never gonna be okay. So I think this,
mm,
when you see someone doing all of that, they're just trying to be someone that they're not. Just like, let's not even look at the music aspect of it for a second. Let's just look at this person and what they actually need. To understand? Because I've never seen someone that is truly like confident and talented and passionate and they've got everything they need like within to succeed. I've never seen a person like that do all of this stuff. Do you understand?
mm,
Or or there is another option as well. It's people that don't know the business, don't know the industry, and maybe they had someone just whisper in their ear like, "Oh, no, you can do this, you can do that, it will work out. Trust me." You see that trust me guy? Never trust him.
mm.
Sometimes you get
Never
people like
trust
that.
him.
So then
Amen.
you just end up doing stuff that you're not supposed to do. You don't even understand why you're not supposed to be doing it.
Mm,
So sometimes you're just around like the wrong crowd. There's so many options. Like everyone's case is different, but I don't
mm,
know, man. Fake a couple stuff if you have to. It is what it is, I guess. In life, you just get how you get, but
yeah.
stay true to yourself. That's what I was saying. Yeah.
That's so beautiful, man, and I hear what you're saying, and there's so much that like I personally know certain artists that can resonate with it because I really do get onto artists on a lot of these type of things to actually like be as authentic as possible through this, like take inspirations and references from all the people that you aspire to be, that like just vision yourself doing a feature with that artist in that studio and work towards that with that energy. Don't fucking use all this fakeness and trust these people that you expect to have your back, or that, like you said, the trust me guy, like, or the trust me girl, like these people are deteriorating, these people and these efforts are deteriorating your journey to where you're actually trying to go. So definitely educate yourselves as artists and definitely understand your fan base, definitely get into networking, adapt to the style of your communication to speak in a professional manner, to actually implement that into your newer connections and stuff. Take inspiration. Don't spend all of your money on just content. Diversify your budgets on multiple things that can move you in a better direction. And everything else and Andra has said, like, yes, like you're such a
One
insightful.
more
Yeah,
thing.
of course.
One
One,
more
two,
thing that
three
I
more
want to
things.
add.
God.
I'm so sorry to cut you off, but it just crossed my mind. You see, I was
Yeah,
talking
God.
about streams and like buying them. Some people
Yeah.
do that without understanding that they're buying streams because they buy slots on playlists. Never in your life don't do that. My friend, if you're
Mm,
listening, don't do that because you see when someone comes to you and says, all right, cool, boom, give me 150, I'm going to get you 100,000 listeners. Cool.
yeah.
These things are not real. You can't put a number like you if it's organic, you're never gonna know how many. Like you can estimate, you can hope,
Mm,
yeah, for a certain number of people to listen or like to like save your playlist or whatever. But if you're doing this like for real, you're never gonna know. Okay. So then people think
mm.
there's so many. This is like one of the most common conversations that I have with people,
That
and
is
it's only
true.
crossed my mind now. People they always want to buy like playlists, and I'm like, you don't do that.
Mm,
You do not do that because you see, like, obviously you have the bot farms, yeah, and oh my gosh, let me remember. I've met this guy. Where was he from? What did they call this thing? It's like you and I and like 10 of our cousins, yeah. We all make
mm,
music and then we make like a collective playlist and all of us keep rinsing out that playlist day in, day out. So then everyone's music is getting played and
mm.
it's like a partner but with music. Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I
Yeah.
completely like that's such an organic way, like to build these playlists that like people around you are gonna consume, and I feel like that's what individual creators and like there's a feature on Spotify where you could do like family shuffle or family playlist and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
these are
yeah,
the correct
yeah.
things to integrate your stuff because I've also seen that uptrend of artists being like, yeah, I need to get playlists and I need to get like, bro, like if you know that like you're how is do you know that the playlist you're gonna put yourself on, if that's where your demographic is, if that's what your music is, because people are just accelerated and okay, that is the pathway. So now someone coming up and putting their debut song is thinking like that, and it's a bad way to think. Yes, get playlisting, but it's not the right type of playlisting you're aiming for. And it's what you said as well, the way people are charging, because in the film industry with like modeling, like stay away from the photographers that are telling you like come down for a shoot and then I'll charge you, you have to pay me £500 to get these headshots and then be a part of the agency. That's not how shit works. You get what I'm saying?
But
So
that's
that
how
is
they get you
definitely
though,
the
because you don't know.
yeah, like it's mad. It's crazy. And this is why I want people like ourselves that are so genuine in what we're doing. We're still learning about ourselves at the same time of learning about people in the space. Like us lot are accelerated learners. We're learning about things we're doing, about ourselves, and teaching people all at the same time. You get what I'm saying? And this is why this is why I built a project like this to house all of these conversations over years. So then the real people that are actually wanting to maneuver in these spaces whilst we're here and even when we're gone, they can use this as a reference to not move in the incorrect ways, you know?
Oh,
And
and
yeah,
another
go
thing
on.
about that, you see when you get, let's say, somehow, the listeners are real, okay? We don't know how, but let's just pretend that's the case. Cool.
Yeah.
So boom, now you've paid 200, 250, and that is a very cheap one. Because you see, like the prices that I've heard, like from artists, boy, serious money, Imagine you've got 10,000 streams on a song. Let's say they're real, but they're in Czechoslovakian or like some
Mm,
country that you don't even know where it is on the map. How are you gonna monetize from it, my friend? Because you can't go there to do shows. They're not gonna book you. They're not gonna buy anything from you because they can't buy it.
Mm,
You're not selling
I
in
hear
these
that. I
territories.
hear that.
You're not.
I
Even
hear
if you're
that.
selling
I,
merch. Like, do you understand? Like the money that
mm.
you get in for the t-shirt, the hoodie, whatever you're selling, you're gonna use that and more to ship it. So then you're not gonna sell it because it's not making sense. Do you
And
understand?
I hear
So
that.
now
And
you can't even cross your back end of the Spotify.
yeah, true.
It's a
That's
long
true. I
day.
mean, I think I think there's an interesting way that we could test that, and to see if there's people that have that type of issue, is to try and get your music synced to the productions over there. So let's say with Uzbekistan films or Uzbekistan TV and stuff like that, if you can connect yourself to the production companies there and the PR agencies that have like sync opportunities there, I feel like if you get accepted for your music there to show them, hey, this is where your data, like my data, my streams, one of my top 10 countries is Uzbekistan or whatever one of these countries are, test it out by actually trying to PR and communicate with sync agencies over there, TV agencies over there, booking agencies over there, you know? Because there's what I love to do when it comes to data is trying to verify that data as much as you can to your the best of your ability. So in a case like this, I personally feel like the best situation is for an artist if they're thinking, raw, like it's weird for me that I'm a UK artist, but I'm getting more streams in Uzbekistan, and it might look organic. Test that by actually trying to speak to a booking agent out there, or to actually speak to a sync agency. I think it would be better to do the comms with a sync agency over there, because you know if you get that placement on TV, that means the potential audience might be real from there. You get what I'm saying? So hopefully that is, if there's any artists that might be going through an issue, because I've realized there's actual genuine artists that are getting weird statistics from certain places, even if they haven't pushed ads or if they haven't been
Yeah.
playlisted and stuff like that. So I feel like that's an interesting way for them to try and troubleshoot it.
That's an, I listen, I never even thought about it. That's so smart. That is
Mm.
so smart, honestly, Armzy. Like, there you go. I never even
Thank
thought
you.
about it. That's a great thing to do.
Mm.
You might as well just try and do it. If you're
Mm.
an artist and you want to try and see what's going on, yeah. As long as it makes sense for you, I guess. In a sense of,
Exactly that.
let's say, for example, if I was an artist, yeah, and I don't know, obviously, I'm making music for the UK and France and Germany and all these places that pay you well. But
Mm.
I know that my community in Romania, I can make some serious money over there. So then
Mm.
if all of a sudden I start seeing all these like statistics, like analytics or all this data coming from Romania, if I'm from there, then it makes sense for me, I think, to go on and,
Mm.
explore that option. But I
Yeah.
think if you, do you know what, maybe I shouldn't even say that because you never know. Maybe someone hears this and they just want to miss out on something great just because I said it.
Mm.
No, do you know what, man? Just do whatever you want to do. Just pray on it. Always try. Because you never know. Honestly,
Mm.
like, speaking on it now, I realize you actually never know. Because I was about to say, it makes no sense for, like, someone in the UK to try and, like, do something in a country where they wouldn't be able to, pay them what they need
Mm.
to be paid to, like, live off
Mm.
of music, right? But at the same time, that's still a start, I guess.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I think interesting another way as well, as you were saying, that it came to mind, is try to connect and communicate and collaborate with people in these regions as well, because you'll be able to find the like, let's say Uzbekistan situation again. If there's an artist out there or like a singer, even if it's not connected to your sound, that building the bridge of, okay, there's an actual connection over there might work, and then building a collaboration, then maybe you're going to make more noise because now you've championed someone in that their area, you know. And I feel like that's why with Central C, for example, just to wrap everything up, he was really clever on the come up, because I feel like the collaborations he did was based on not only his network but his also his data as well, because it was very selective regions where he was doing his campaigns and stuff like that, which was very interesting. So I personally feel like someone that might get some abnormal data really connect with the music scene over there, maybe the PR agencies over there, or especially the sync. I feel like sync would be a quicker way, or the film industries, to know if your data is viable in that region, or the most authentic way, connect with the artist there. Every like the other day I was at this other event, and there was this A&R from like Colombia, not Columbia Records, but actually from Colombia. And then there was this next brother from Pakistan. And then I was so fascinated. He was like, "Bro, the music scene in Pakistan is growing right now." Like for me, I knew about cultural Pakistani music, but actual like urban and hip hop music based out of Pakistan, I'm like, this is news to my ears, bro. And he started showing me so many different artists and all that, and I'm like, right, imagine if people, artists of Pakistani descent from England started connecting to the artists in Pakistan there. Now you're bringing your whole culture together from the eastern side and the western side. That's gonna blow up your algorithm. That's what also reminds me about Central C, how he did that with the Italians, the Germans, the French, and all of that. Like connecting all those data points as well is a really, because the artists here are only focused here, but people forget music is a global thing. So yeah, that was my 2 cents.
100%.
Yeah.
No, 100%. I agree with you. 100%. You're so right. Definitely. That is a great thing to do. And I think, imagine if someone heard this
Hmm.
that actually went on and like did what you just said now. Next thing you know, they're gone.
Goodbye. I
Like
need
they're
a plaque. I
literally.
just need a plaque to put on the wall. Guys,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
have
yeah, yeah.
empty walls.
Facts.
I,
No.
and Andra, I just want to thank you so much for your time. I know that we will be having so many more beautiful conversations over the years and whatnot, and creating content. I would love to check in with you regularly in this type of format, whether it's 2 times a year, 4 times a year, every single day for the year. You get what I'm saying? Because I feel like you're such a beautiful person inside and out. Your way of thinking, how you conceptualize ideas, the way you perceive things, and how you communicate them to people is so beautiful. And like I said, like you're an accelerated learner. For you to come to this country at 18, not know anything, to be in who you are today and build a business to do what you're doing to impact people. Yeah, I'm a fan of you, honestly. And any help I can share from my network and doing what I'm doing, just let me know.
Thank you. And
Yeah,
likewise, honestly, you're
thank
such
you,
an inspiration to me as well. And I love your energy, just you as a person,
thank
how
you.
you carry yourself, how we like connect and talk. I love it. Like I could talk to you
Thank
for
you.
days. And
Good.
honestly, thank
I
you
hope
so much.
I'm
It really,
happy.
really, really makes sense. And what
Thank
I
you.
just want to say is that I didn't do it. God did it for me. That's that.
Mm. I've got so I haven't got an opening tradition or an opening thing for this, but I've got a closing tradition. I've got a closing question for you to answer, and I want to see how you answer this. Because the way people have been, other guests have answered this is so interesting. So really think about the question I'm gonna ask you. Let me know when you're, yeah, sip, sip, sip. We're gonna get into this one, all right?
Okay.
You ready? All right. So what is, now you're ready, yeah? All right, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is one piece of advice you give out but never take yourself?
I never took myself that piece of advice.
Yeah.
Oh, oh God. I've always been so bad at taking advice. I don't even know.
Just really
What
think
am I gonna
about it.
say
Like,
now?
okay, let me give you a little hint on that question. The question is not meant to be directly the answer you're thinking. So let's say, like for me, the last one of the last guests was like they were talking about how they they tell everyone that they need to switch off and really balance life, but they don't do it themselves.
Ooh.
Do you get what
Oh,
I'm
that's
saying? It's
nice.
those type. It's meant to pull out that type of. You get what I'm saying? So,
Oh.
what is one piece of advice you give out but don't take yourself?
Disconnect, take your time when you need it, and if you're not okay up here and in your heart as well, then business is going to be slow, and the way you interact with people is not going to be natural. It's not going to be, I don't know, it's just not going to flow the way it should. That is something that I always tell people,
Mm.
but I've always overworked myself and I never took the breaks that I needed to take when I needed them. But now that I've just come back from a year, like a month and a half holiday, and I'm a whole different person, and I realize that I'm not stressed anymore. I'm just, I feel like a baby. Like, that's how good I feel right now. I feel like this is the advice that I've always given now. I never took myself, but from now on, I will. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much for a beautiful answer. And like I was saying, that question, do you know what? That was a question it took me like 2 years to formulate, because I wanted to have a question that was impactful, but I also wanted to have an answer that is really insightful, And I feel like every single guest that has answered it so far has really, it's been a really introspective answer compared to, oh yeah, you should do this, and I don't know, like, it's not about that. It's really an introspective thing. So yeah, Andra, I just thank you so much for your time. You're a beautiful soul. Keep doing what you're doing. Let's stay connected and hopefully work on something down the line as well.
Oh, yeah, 100%. We have to work on something. Now we're locked in. We're working on something. I don't know what, but we're working on something, okay? So,
We're gonna work on something, all right?
definitely. Thank you so much for having
All
me. It's
right.
been
What I'm
amazing.
gonna do, I'm gonna stop recording this now.
Okay.
Just give me a second.